Morning and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. The subcommittee today is made up of councillors Jackie Davies, Ollie Waring and Andrew Waldridge. The first item of business is the appointment of a chair for the meeting. May I ask subcommittee members to nominate a chair for the meeting?
Yes, I would like to nominate Councillor Waldridge, please.
Agreed.
Thank you. It's agreed that Councillor Waldridge is in the chair. Thank you, Councillor Waldridge.
Thank you. This meeting is being broadcast live, recorded, and will be made available on the Council YouTube channel. The agenda is available on the Council's website by following the links to Your Council and Decision Making, Consultations and Surveys, and then Committee Agendas and Minutes. The quorum of this meeting is 3 members, and all will need to be present at all times. If any subcommittee member or the legal advisor lose connection, we will pause to allow them to rejoin as soon as possible. To reduce feedback, would everyone mute their microphone while not speaking? After the subcommittee has heard the submission, I will ask if members have any questions on the submission. Members can also indicate that they wish to speak by using the chat function. Please do not use the chat function to ask questions of officers or members, and remember that all member participants on the video call will be able to see what has been entered into the chat. Please also keep mobile phones in silent mode or switched off during the meeting. I am Councillor Andrew Waldridge. I will now introduce the other participants in the meeting. We have Councillor Jackie Davis, Councillor Ollie Waring, myself, Andrew Waldridge, Guy Bishop, our legal advisor, Binny Day, our licensing officer, and of course the applicant, Damon Wellman, for STIR 777 Limited. There were 6 representations from other persons, 1 against the application and 5 in support. None of the persons who made representations have registered to speak. We will also have a Democratic Services in attendance. It was confirmed in the first hearing that no members had any interests to declare. I'm just going to ask that question again. Do you have any members? No, there aren't.
No.
Okay, great, thank you. Paragraph 57 on page 4 of the agenda pack deals with notification of the decision following the subcommittee deliberations. This will firstly be confirmed by email later today, and full details and reasons will follow within 5 working days. Are there any objections to proceeding on the basis of those procedures? We have none.
Sorry, Chair. Could I just ask that we refer to the written objections rather than representations for the rest of the hearing? Thank you.
Fine. Written, so just confirm that to me again, Alice.
It's the objections rather
Yes.
than representations this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Apologies my side. We move on to the hearing. Application for the renewal and variation of a sex establishment license, STIR 777, 48 High Street, Kingston upon Thames, KT1 1HN. Appendix A on page A1 of the agenda. I now call on Binny Day, the licensing officer, to introduce the report on the application.
Thank you, Chair. Before introducing this application, I would just like to preface that there are 2 applications being determined today in respect to the same premises under 2 separate pieces of legislation, and as such, they are to be considered separately and heard at separate hearings. The application for a premises license, which was heard earlier this morning, is to be determined in accordance with the Licensing Act 2003, the Secretary of State's guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, and the Council's relevant licensing policy. This application to be heard during this meeting is for a sex establishment license and is to be determined in accordance with Schedule 3 of the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982, as amended by the Police and Crime Act 2009, and the Council's policy on the licensing of sex establishments. This application relating to STIR 777 48 High Street, Kingston upon Thames, KT1 1HN was made on 19th February 2024 by STIR 777 Limited. This application seeks the renewal and variation of the existing sex establishment license, which was originally granted in 2018 in respect of a sexual entertainment venue. The application seeks the grant of amended hours of operation, that is, Monday to Thursday from 2200 hours to 0300 hours the following morning, Friday and Saturday from 2200 hours to 0500 hours the following morning, and New Year's Eve from 2200 hours to 0500 hours the following morning. Relevant pages of the application form and plan of the premises are attached at Annex 1, and a copy of the current license is attached at Annex 2. The current proposed hours of operation are laid out in Annex 3. The premises currently holds a license to operate a sexual entertainment venue between the hours of 2200 and 0300 on Thursdays, and from 2200 hours to 0400 hours the following morning on Fridays and Saturdays. Licenses for sexual entertainment venues last for a period of 12 months and must be renewed annually. The applicant is seeking to renew the existing license and amend the hours of operation. Sexual entertainment venues are permitted to provide regulated entertainment without the requirement for a premises license issued under the Licensing Act 2003. However, the exemption does not apply to the sale of alcohol. The premises currently benefits from a premises license which authorizes the sale of alcohol and the provision of regulated entertainment. The applicant has made a separate application under the Licensing Act 2003 for the grant of a new premises license, which, if granted, will mirror the hours applied for in this application. I confirm that the applicant has advertised the application by way of a public notice displayed at the premises and in a local newspaper. The application has also been made available on the Council's website. All relevant authorities received a copy of the application. No objections were received from the relevant authorities consulted. In accordance with the Council's policy on licensing of sex establishments published on 1st of March 2012, 43 addresses were consulted in writing and informed that an application had been received. One valid objection was received in relation to the application, along with 5 letters of support. Although the legislation refers only to objections received and does not talk about representations in support of applications, the Home Office guidance for sexual entertainment venues makes it clear that the expectation of the Secretary of State is that the consultation exercise is fair and meaningful. The authority has therefore made the decision to include both objections and letters of support received in relation to this application, when relevant, for the committee to consider and apply appropriate weight for consideration as they deem appropriate. The authority shall not, without the consent of the person objecting, reveal their name or address to the applicant. Accordingly, redacted copies of the objections and supporting statements received are attached at Annex 4. Members of this committee, however, will have received unredacted copies. In hearing from objectors to and/or supporters of the application, the right to anonymity may be compromised. Members may want to consider, therefore, whether individuals wishing to speak to the committee need to identify themselves, or whether perhaps they can indicate with objection or letter of support is theirs in Annex 4 of the committee reports. A map showing the approximate location of the premises is attached at Annex 5, with photographs of the premises attached as Annex 6. The legislation provides a number of grounds under which an application can be refused, and these effectively set the benchmark against which the application should be considered. The grounds for refusal are given at Annex 7 of this report and are reproduced from the legislation. The Council has agreed a set of standard conditions relating to sex establishments and further specific conditions in respect of sexual entertainment venues. The license currently in force at the premises is subject to amended conditions. They are included in Annex 2 on pages 3 to 5 of the current license. The applicant is seeking to keep all existing conditions as they are, except for condition number 1, which relates to hours of opening. In order to be consistent with the amended hours of operation sought, condition 1 would need to be amended, as detailed in Annex 8. It should be noted that in determining the application, the committee is entitled to amend or even omit certain conditions if it considers it appropriate. The committee is asked to determine the application having regard to the objections received, any response from the applicant, and other evidence heard at the meeting, in line with the options set out in paragraph 23 of the licensing report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions for the officer? Councillor Waring.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for that, Benny. Can you just let me know if any sort of complaints you've had about this premises?
Yes, so there was only one complaint regarding the entry to the premises in 2018. The matter was dealt by the police and unresolved, therefore.
Thank you. Sorry to make you repeat yourself from the earlier one, but I think it's important to get it on record. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Waring. Any other questions? No. I now call on the applicant, Damon Wellman, to give a summary of their application. Paragraph 47 on page 3 of the agenda pack deals with the length of time an applicant can speak. As none of the persons who made written objections have registered to speak, the applicant will be accorded up to 5 minutes to present their submission. Alice, would you be so kind as to advise when we have 1 minute left, when the time is up? Thank you. So Damon, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I won't go through the entire summary. This application is allow the SEV license. It's up for renewal anyway. The additional hours are to allow it to fall in line with the applied premises license hours. We are keeping all our 48 conditions that we've been running with for the last 6 years, with the adjustment, as Benny said, of one condition, so that it doesn't contradict the required or the requested license hours. Other than that, everything is exactly the same. Obviously open to questions.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions for the applicant? Jackie Davis, yes.
Yes, I have a quick one just to voice one of the objections, which says that this is not a suitable activity to happen in this place. I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I just want to make it public, really. I think your answer is going to be, we've been there for 6 years and we haven't had any problems, so I can answer it for you.
Yes, although I would suggest that that objection is not based around problems. That objection, I believe, is subjective, because it says it's in the inappropriate area, not that it will cause problems. Inappropriate area, as I say, is subjective. And you're right, we've been there 6 years. The council's granted this license, excuse me, every year for the last 6 years. The area hasn't changed. So therefore, for it to be an inappropriate area, I struggle to see how that now applies. But yeah, you're right, we've been there 6 years. And in addition to that, we haven't caused any problems.
Okay, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry, yes, you've got a supplementary, yes.
Just a comment, really. I suspect that the resident doesn't actually realise that you're there already. I suspect that's what happened, but who knows?
Councillor Waring.
Thank you, Chair. Also, looking at the objector's comments, just want to ask you about the quote, the claim that, quote, the premises perpetuates inappropriate sexual behaviour, which is obviously an entirely subjective comment to make and not a statement of fact. But I just wanted to know if there was any sort of outreach or community-based activity that your company does to support women that are suffering because of inappropriate sexual behaviour.
Very good question. Specifically, no, we aren't. We've tried this in the past, and kind of understandably, we get turned away from and very much frowned upon from specific gender-based abuse groups. It's difficult for us because we don't, I don't wish to keep repeating it, but we don't cause any problems. And you're right, the opinion that is expressed in that representation is entirely subjective. We do significant training for all our staff, including vulnerability training, as well as safeguarding training. I myself have level 3 safeguarding, and we do the same thing. Obviously, all our staff are SIA registered. There's safeguarding within their registration. Managers have safeguarding training as well. So we identify as much as possible within our venue. Outside of that, unfortunately, our input in the past has shown to not be welcome, which is unfortunate, but it is the way society views it, I'm afraid.
No, thank you. And I totally appreciate that that's not a consideration for your application here. It's probably more an indication of my voting intent on something that's been agreed every year for the last 6 years. But I just thought it'd be interesting to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Waring. Any other questions? No? Okay, I'll move on. As referred to in the report, all relevant authorities received a copy of the application. No objections were received from the relevant authorities consulted. There were 6 objections from other persons, 1 against and 5 in support. The objections are set out on page A17 to A23 of the agenda report pack. None of the persons who made objections have registered to speak. The subcommittee will make all the written objections into account in making their decisions. Would the applicant now like to make any closing statement?
Thank you, Chair. No, I don't have anything additional to add, other than we will continue to do what we do and not cause any problems. And long may we be able to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Damon. Well done. The subcommittee will now withdraw and make its decision. The decision will be confirmed to all parties by email, and the full decision notice with reasons will then be sent to all parties within 5 working days. Please can members of the subcommittee reconvene in the decision meeting at 12:15 for the decision. This is the end of hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.